Hey honey badgers. So I'm going to have you at a little bit of an angle for this video, but I think it's going to work for what I wanted to talk about for this quick little talk. I thought I would revisit the topic of spare drills and why maybe one would hold on to them when they get into this craft. I did a video on this a while back. It was in the video, I think it was for the canvas I was calling something like End of the World Planet or World End Couple, something like that. It was the canvas I did where there was a couple sitting on kind of like a blown up planet with like one tree left, and there was a moon in the background. And I had mentioned in that video that I had misplaced the entire drill pack for that kit when I went to go work on it. So I had to do that kit pretty much completely from my spare drills. So that was one version of what to do with your spare drills. I was working on this canvas. As you can see, I started on the Rainbow Bridge Retriever last night, and I ran into something with this one, and it kind of inspired me to talk about this topic again, because I still see the question come up on videos sometimes, not necessarily mine, but maybe other people's videos, where somebody will leave a comment about, what do you do with spare drills? Why would you hold on to them? Kind of that kind of thing. And it is a personal decision, naturally, with anybody who gets into diamond painting, what you do with the spares once you're done with a kit. There's plenty of diamond painters that just chuck all of them. Once they're done with the kit, they're done, and they just throw the leftovers in the trash. There are other diamond painters that only hold on to the premium kit diamonds that are typically more resin and higher quality. They'll only hold on to those. I'm one of those diamond painters that just holds on to all of the drills, because I just never know, since I work on both premium canvases and budget canvases, I just never know where the lack is going to come in, or if if you run out of drills, or if you have a color you need to change out, anything like that. It's just nice to have a backup stash where it's just there, it's ready to go. I don't have to freak out and worry about, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of this project, where do I get drills all of a sudden? Because you can go to websites and get specific colors of just certain drill packs, but then if you're in the middle of a project, you're going to have to wait anywhere from a few days to a few weeks, depending on where you're ordering from. And that can be kind of a pain if you're really motivated about a project, you're really into it and you want to keep going with it, but you're stuck. So that's why I just hold on to all my drills, just in case something like that should happen. I didn't run out of any drills on this one so far. I mean, I just started it. I don't typically run out of drills as far as what comes with the kit. That doesn't happen to me very often anymore, but sometimes it comes up. Most companies now are pretty good about giving you what you need in the kit. I think when this craft first started up, it was a little bit more common for miscounts to happen, but I feel like it's more regular and more uniform now as far as the drill counts, that absolutely running out of colors is pretty rare. But like I said, it can happen, so it's nice to have the drills for that. The reason I wanted to bring it up for this canvas was, so I started this canvas, I knocked out all of the 310 shading. There wasn't a ton of it, you can see it's just like outlining a little bit here and there. So I did that, and then I was thinking, this is a 40 by 50 canvas, and I was thinking, okay, I think I want to knock out the dark water parts. So I'll knock out all the sky up here, and in this little section in here, and then down at the bottom. But when I went to pull the color, it's all these packs, and as you can see, it's like this kind of depressing gray color, which this color is fine if you're doing castles, cobblestones, that kind of thing, if you're working on an animal that's this gray color. But I just thought for this scene, for this type of image where it's a bright rainbow in the back and you have this happy dog and everything, this behind it just felt kind of depressing. This darker gray color. This is what color is this? This is a 931 DMC. And I didn't feel good about putting that down on what otherwise would be a pretty happy picture. So what I ended up doing is, I was a little bit nervous because it's all of these packs, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of one color. I don't know if I have enough shading for that particular color. I have a lot in colors like 823, 939, 310, that kind of thing, that comes pretty standard in most kits. The more specific colors, the more variations on blue, I have less of those when it comes to like bulk amounts, so I was a little bit nervous about that. But I ended up going into my blue family stash because with all my drills, I don't have them sorted entirely by DMC code. Some of them are under DMC code, but a lot of them I just put in color family and figure it out from there. Because even if you go by DMC code, I have some that I have with their DMC codes on them, but they're different color lots. So technically the same DMC code, but they look like different shades. So that can happen sometimes. So a lot of times I'll just pack everything up with color families and figure it out from there down the road when I need the spares. So that's kind of what I ended up doing with this. Is I just went into my dark blue section and said, okay, what do I have in there that I can kind of build a, you know, picture out of? Do I have enough to work with? And I thought I would talk about this a little bit on camera so that people that are new to this can kind of hear my process if you run into something like this where you get a kit and you're not necessarily satisfied with the colors that came with it, but you're new to this craft and thinking, okay, well, how do I do an edit? You know, if you're freaked out by that, I just thought I would do a video on this and kind of talk through my process of when I do this, just so you can get an idea of how to break it down. Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's diamond painting, it's not brain surgery. You don't have to freak yourself out. You can go easy with it. You can be easy with yourself, be easy with the craft. It's supposed to be stress reducing, not inducing. So what I did is, I mean, I was looking at the way the picture looked, and I was like, okay, I like this blue color back here. That's why I don't want it to be a sad institutional gray. So what do I have that's kind of in that blue shade already? And so the first ones I picked up were, I had these marked. Okay. I don't know if you can see it, but I have it marked as 336 on there. And then I have some 3750, and I was like, okay, that's kind of dark, but I could make it work. Do I have anything that's a tad bit lighter? And so I went further into my blue family and found some shades that were just a tinge lighter than that. I kept those out just in case I run out of what I have here. And then I figured what I ended up doing is I started at the bottom, because a lot of times when I do color adjustments, color fixes, whatever, I think about logically how would light sources work in reality, and that kind of helps me figure out colors on an art piece. So I'm thinking about this and thinking about, okay, you have rainbow and you have light behind the rainbow and in the rainbow and all that kind of stuff. So you have all of this light source up here. So that means all this light source shining down, and you have a water reflection down here. Water reflects light, so this can be lighter. But if you want to go darker, start with the edging down here. But if you're building sky up here and water down here, you can get away with going a little bit lighter down here because you have the light source from up here. So that's kind of how I figured out how to do the color. So I started at the bottom last night, and I've been working on this earlier today. So I started with the light color, thinking if I run out of what I have of the lighter color, because I'm working with like multiple packs here of spares that I've pulled from various different kits. And basically what I'm doing is I started with, this is generally a mix of like 820 and 824 DMC with a little bits of like blue gray mixed in there. So what I do is I start with a little bit of color. Like I started with the ones that had just a little bit in the pack, and I started at the edges, and then as I'm going through a color, as I'm running out, I mix in the next packet I want to work with. And I start with the lighter shades, I work up into the darker shades, so that I'm planning on, if I run out of those smaller packets, I'll have worked up to the darker shades, so that when if I need to put these darker shades in, they're not gonna look weird. I'll already have anticipated that, and they'll just fade into the previous darker shades I worked in. So that's kind of my process for doing that. So I'll show you here. See, when you look at it, you can't tell that there's a whole mix of colors in there because they're all sort of in the same color family. But up close, there's some 820, some 824. There's, like I said, a little bit of blue-gray mix in there here and there. But they're all generally at a distance kind of in the same family, so it doesn't look weird. So the other thing I was thinking that's kind of nice about this, when people ask, you know, why would you hold on to spare drills and go through all this and stuff? The thing I was thinking is that with an image like this, if you, and you know, this is completely optional, obviously. You can do it straight as the kit gives you. This is, yeah, a lot of extra work, but this is like my main passion, so I don't mind putting the time into stuff to do it like this. But if that's not your thing, that's okay. I'm just saying, if you get really invested in this art, this is sort of how you can teach yourself how to do these edits so that they look nice. And it's a nice skill to learn if you're working on canvases that are a little bit maybe more in the budget range, that have like grainier, I don't know, printings, I guess, renditions that you want to clean up. These are skills you can learn to fix lower end budget issues. And sometimes they still come up on higher end canvases as well. So it's a cool skill to have if you want to take the time to get into that. But you know, you can do it straight like this with the colors, but one of the benefits of having a little bit of a mix of color in there is when you're all done, I think it makes a softer, more natural look. Because if you think about it, in nature, nothing is uniform in color. You don't look at water and see just one shade of blue. You don't look at a tree and see just one shade of green. It's a whole mix of things in there, so that overall, when you put it all together, it's going to have a much softer outline along the water, so that when people look at it, they're like, oh, that's so nice and soft and dreamy looking. And I think that's a more achievable look when you mix some of these colors in together rather than just do a straight gray across the board. And that's only one color section. Like, I'll probably do you know, these other blues, I'll probably go as the kit is marked. I'll probably use the colors as is for the rest of this. Probably won't do too many more edits. The one little edit I did was that, if it shows up on camera, down here where the tennis ball is supposed to be in the mouth, and because there's a mirror image on this canvas, there's a little dot of green up on the main dog, and then there's 2 dots of green on the mirror image. So I did put green ABs there just for that one little spot on the tennis ball to give it a little extra light. So far, that's the only edit I've made, you know, other than this whole topic about using the different blue. But other than that, I'm pretty sure I'll probably just do this straight as is. Unless, you know, the other thing I can think is like looking at this, I don't know, I'll have to look at it when I get to it. But the other thing I just noticed is the yellows. Those are the only yellows in the kit, and they're a little bit on the blander side, which is fine down in this shading up here. But when I get to like the higher part of the yellow in that section, I may put a little bit brighter yellow in just to mix it in just a little bit, because I don't know, that does look a little bit bland to me. But that's something I figure out as I go along. In the puddle work, it might not be that big a deal, but at least up in the rainbow, I might brighten that up just a tiny bit. I don't know, maybe not, but we'll see. So yeah, I just thought I would mention that as I'm working on this. For anybody that asks that question, what do you do with spare drills? What's the point of saving them? This is just another example of what I do with mine. So part 2, I guess, of that conversation of why save spare drills. So yeah, stay tuned. I think this one is going to be really damn pretty when it's all done, but Just side note, there's a lot of confetti work in this, obviously. So it does feel like it's going to be one of those ones that comes together pretty quickly, but also maybe take a minute. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to go back to filling in this sky, and we will talk soon.